Bluey is straight up one of the best things on television right now, but most importantly, it prints money. Which means of course it was going to see a video game adaptation at some point. Thankfully, Artax Games, developers of titles I or you have never heard of, and Outright Games, publishers of such hidden gems as Ice Age Scrat's Nutty Adventure and My Friend Peppa Pig, answered the call with the inventively titled Bluey the Video Game. That's right folks, for just $60 upside down dollars, you can experience such gripping genre-defining gameplay experiences as Keepy Uppy, Find the Newspaper, and well, honestly, I'm kind of struggling for a third thing. This joke kind of fell apart. Fair play, I'm obviously not the intended audience for this one, even though there are a lot of adult fans of Bluey, myself included. The game was very obviously not made with catering to an audience over the age of 7 in mind, but kids also aren't stupid. My siblings have been playing both Ratchet & Clank and Fortnite for years, and they started out as young as 6. Obviously don't let 6-year-olds play Fortnite, that wasn't my choice, lol. So I want to tackle Bluey from 2 different perspectives. That of a gamer who's been so for at least 23 of their 30 years on this planet, and that of a small child who just wants more Bluey. Because I think that's an important thing that people missed when reviewing and discussing the Bluey game. It's for toddlers. So is it actually good for toddlers? As someone who grew up minding them, being in a household with 7 other children, I think my 2 cents is worth a little something here. Anyway, the healers are on holidays, and after one chaotic morning, they discover a third of a torn treasure map leading to treasure the bandit and his brothers buried as kids. With nothing better to do, they set out to grab the remaining pieces, dig up the treasure, and be home in time for pavlova and edamame beans. The game split up into 4 episodes, with each one furthering the treasure hunt and unlocking a new area for exploration. And within each episode, you do, it's a little difficult to explain. Not because Bluey is an overly complex game with multiple different complementary systems at play, but because you don't actually do a whole lot. I might have just said kids aren't stupid, but also kids are in fact stupid. So when you're in an episode, gameplay usually boils down to following an icon on the screen until you reach a cutscene, then maybe picking something up and placing it down somewhere, pushing an object, or jumping over something. The whole time you're either following an icon at the edge of the screen, or Bandit or Chili will spell out exactly what you need to do, so there's never any guesswork involved and your hand is held the entire way. Still less hand-holding than Sun and Moon. Ayo! Sun and Moon are overhated. They've got Brionne, okay? Episodes feel like interactive Bluey episodes in the most literal and uninteresting way possible, because you're being guided through every step and interrupted by a cutscene after almost every tiny action. There isn't any room to think or problem solve, which is disappointing, and I think giving kids a little leeway and asking them to use their noodle would have been great. But honestly, I think they'll still dig this anyway. I mean, they're playable Bluey episodes, man. Think about that from a kid's perspective. Sure, as an adult, you've got to do a bit better than that, but a kid who loved Bluey getting to participate in a Bluey episode and controlling Bluey herself, or any of the other healers even? Kids would go nuts. Even after having said that though, even taking younger players into account, I do think there's a level of interactivity that was kinda necessary but is ultimately lacking. So the episodes don't have you do much beyond what I've already said, but once you complete an episode, you unlock that area to freely explore. Here, you can find collectibles which gradually fill out your sticker book, mess around with certain objects in the environment, and finding collectibles pretty quickly earns you a slew of wearable hats, which, heck yeah, add hats to a game and that's like 2 points in its favor. Some of the collectibles you find are also toys that you can pull out from a toy box after you find them, but you can't do much with them. There are balls you can kick around, I guess? Or if you want to waddle around with a plushie, you can do that too. You just can't do anything with what you find. One of the only interactive elements in the environment are slides, which you do with a simple button press, and another are plants you can water a few times to force them to grow instantly. What the fuck, is Bluey omnipotent? Levels are dead empty, save for the rest of the healers who hover around you like flies to poopy. And there are all these set elements that you can't do anything with. Why can't you turn the TV on? Why can't you ride the horse at the playground? All I can do is jump on the bed or become the rogue unit himself and kick the living crap out of my kids. What choice do I have? Okay, in fairness, you do unlock some mini-games as you complete each episode, even if they're not setting standards anytime soon. 2 of these, Magic Xylophone and Chattermax Chase, are just riffs on freeze tag, the former significantly shorter than the latter, and Keepy Uppy requires you to stop a balloon from touching the ground, which bafflingly automatically gives you the win after a few dozen hits instead of being endless. The most interesting of the bunch is The Ground is Lava, where you have to collect 3 stars by navigating across platforms while avoiding setting foot on the ground. It's dead easy, sure, apart from the platforming being a little iffy due to the twitchy controls and slightly cumbersome perspective, but hey, it's something. On the more positive side of things, visually it's not bad at all. It doesn't perfectly replicate the visual style of the show like, say, South Park The Stick of Truth does, seeing as animations and lip syncing can be a little janky, but it does an admirable job at capturing the spirit of the show, thankfully not resorting to weird-looking 3D models for the characters and instead staying true to the show's 2D animated style. Audio-wise, the voice direction can be a little weird, and it does occasionally sound like the voice actors were never in the same room as each other, but all the original voice actors are here, and you can make Bluey and Bingo say babe like they do in the show, so heck yeah, no complaints. The music though, wonderful. Bluey composer Geoff Bush teams up with the developer's own composers to come up with an original soundtrack inspired by songs from the show, and it absolutely nails the playful sounds and delightful melodies Bluey is known for. Particularly the song that plays at the creek, itself inspired by I Know a Place, the song from the Creek episode, very nearly brought a tear to my eye when I first heard it, in much the same way the music from the show often would. Even despite its visual faults, the Bluey game's presentation is pretty spot on, and easily the best part of the whole package. I do wish the game itself managed to rise to the same level as its presentation though. It's a pretty vapid game all things considered, with bare bones gameplay and not a lot of content in its 3-hour package to justify its $60 price tag, roughly the same price as games like Hi-Fi Rush and Helldivers 2. And even as a fan of the show, there aren't many references to at least Gorkat. So if you're of an age where you can comprehend that perhaps inhaling your boogers isn't fucking disgusting, I don't think the Bluey game is worth it. And if you absolutely must play it, pick it up on sale or play it on Xbox Game Pass. But at the same time, what I think is irrelevant. I'm not 6 years old. I'm well into my double digits. I pay taxes. I think about men. The Bluey game doesn't have to care what I think about it. It's there to please kids. And while I think it could be better in that regard, with more interactable elements, I think kids will like this a lot. It only being 3 hours to do everything doesn't matter, because kids do repetitive things, always playing with their simple, kinda one-note toys, always watching the same 80-minute movies on Netflix. They're gonna eat this up, and they're gonna do it many times before they either get bored, the disc wears down from overuse, or they forget about it after discovering Amazing Digital Circus and Has-Been Hotel Content Farm videos. Truly, God has forsaken us.